the beginning, the end, the destination. Which one of those do y'all think is the most important? So I learned a good lesson this few days ago. So I went from Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, on a Greyhound all the way to an undisclosed place in the West Coast. And anyhow, now how Greyhounds have it, you can check, shows your progress, where you're going, your location, even though they do announce it. And so I found myself looking at it like, okay, I'm this many miles from Kansas, whatever. And then I said, man, this isn't going to change the trajectory of where I'm going. And, there's inevitably going to be delays, setbacks, or even sometimes you're ahead of schedule, right? So let me tell you about my Greyhound Bound experience. So the first thing, get the ticket, do all that. I have to go. They don't have a Greyhound station in Knoxville, like an actual station. So they just made this go into the middle of the neighborhood. And the neighborhood was in the hood. And I mean the hood. Very few times in my life have I felt kind of worried about my personnel. I had my 2 guitars and my backpack. And these cars kept driving by, staring, looking at me. I had my wallet, my money, everything on me, the ID, all the stuff I would need in my phone. And man, it was sketchy. And I did some praying, met some cool people. I was glad they showed up later. We kind of like watched each other's back. So I got on a bus, they got on another. The first whole point of that is these people I met, they were able to give me something, and I was able to give them something that, it's interesting. It's like God put them in my path. So I get on the bus, blah, blah, blah. So I end up in Cincinnati. We have a layover. Meet some dude, and he had never been on before. A young guy who was going to see his brother to help him move in Columbus, Missouri, which I actually used to live, but that's another story for another time. So I had to tell this guy, you can't leave your luggage unattended, not just for the fear of it being stolen, but also because the security will take it and then they'll make you pay to get it back. So we're talking, again, I'm not going to disclose what was talked about, but it's very interesting. I was able to give him just advice that stuff I had been through, and then vice versa, kind of, in a sense. Every person in this route that I met, and I mean every single person, it was like it was divine appointment. There was all sorts of debauchery during this ride. There was people getting drunk when they're not supposed to, people smoking marijuana and vaping in the bus. A girl actually gave herself a tattoo on the bus. This girl was with me half the ride and actually freaked out on me in Vegas and accused me of stealing her pants. Whatever. But the thing was, all these people that I met, in this journey, if I would have just been looking on my app saying, okay, I'm going to be there. And, mind you, I didn't sleep a lick for 3 days. It's very tired. Didn't really, when you're that tired, you don't really eat much. And this last place I ended up, well, not the last place, but in Las Vegas, I was just getting these weird intuitive vibes. And these guys kept walking around this girl, this young Hispanic lady who didn't speak any English. She was on the bus with me, basically, I'd say 80% of the way. And I didn't know, I thought she was with family, but these people had got off, so she was by herself. And these guys kept sitting by the bench she was laying on, and they kept walking around in circles and looking at her. And so she went outside and kind of was me and this other dude and just looked at us like, hey, she didn't, the barriers of communication, but she knew we were familiar, and I think she was feeling uncomfortable. And so before we were going to go in, I said, peligro, peligro, which means danger. And her eyes lit up, and then she followed me. Then I went up to her, used Google Translate, and said, hey, come over here. You could lay on the ground, because we had 4 hours. And I had to gather a few of these ladies and have them sit. And the other ones were English speaking. And I said, hey, this place isn't safe. And they're like, yeah. One of them was like, yeah. And I said, just let's stay together. We know each other. And these people, so I went away by the soda machines to see, am I being paranoid? And these people, as soon as I went away, started walking around these girls that were in this area. And this one guy who I just had got bad vibes for a few bus rides he was with us, he kept looking at him and like biting his leg. I worked in the field, and he was absolutely one of those PDF files. It is what it is. And I find out that this is the station that all these ex-cons, when they get out of prison, they send them to. So all these guys that were sharking around these ladies were doing that. So, and I was able to tell that by their CDC clothes, the numbers on their shorts, the way their mannerisms were, tattoos, all that good stuff. And so I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm just going to stand up like in front of them like a security guard, which is what they, those two teenage girls called me. They're, hey, security guard. They never even got my name. And we stayed together until we got to Santa Ana, California, which was one of my last stops. And it was really nice because, I worked clinical work for years and have been out of it and have always been told I was a protector. I've worked with young teenage girls, kids, boys, everything, adults, all that. And if I wasn't present, if I was just in my phone, I didn't have earphones, just on my Instagram or YouTube or whatever, I wouldn't have been able to be present for that imminent danger. And I'm not saying I am some savior or anything, but that I may have very well prevented these girls from something happening. God giving me the intuition, and they thanked me once we took our ways. I did the translate with the girl, and she said thank you and all that, and she said she'll look out. She said she was ignorant of what was going on, and now she understood. She said she kind of like realized, oh yeah, now to think of it, those guys were really weird. I mean, that experience was really, really crazy, y'all. I could do an hour video. It's a book's worth of stuff aside what I told you that happened. And guy said overdose, a fist fight on the bus. Some guys trying to steal my guitars. Some guy tried to steal my bag. It's not a good place. I would never recommend anyone unless you just want to adventure to travel on the Greyhound. But leading to that previously, when I realized my time was up in Tennessee, I've been putting off for years. I know it has been, but what has holding me back is I had a storage unit full of stuff, full of guitars, clothes, everything. And when I had to purge it, I knew I'm gonna have to get rid of this and sell some of it. And I had to do it in the same day I departed. I had a friend, Steve, help me. And so when I did that, there was so much stuff, shoes, all this stuff I didn't even remember buying due to my time behind the bottle. And it's a product of consumerism. All this stuff I had, and it kept me stuck here because I had to maintain it. And I remember, this is crazy, but it's not a good person to quote, but it is something powerful he said, is the punk rock guy, G. John. He said, if you cannot fit your life in a paper bag and just go, then you're living wrong. This stuff has attachments to it. You know what? For someone that's messed up like him, he's absolutely right. And so I donated some of that. Some of it I pawned off, letting him know I'm not coming back for it. Money isn't a problem. Just give me what you will. I want a flat rate. And I was pretty satisfied with it. But just the legacy of gluttony of purchases and me purging it, just to leave, just to come here with a backpack with 3 pairs of pants, 3 pairs of shorts, 1 pair of shoes, boots actually, an amplifier, phone charger, my iPad, which I never use. It was at first it was like I was kind of like making excuses in my head, like, oh no, you can maybe wait a few more days and sell this, or figure out how you can get more of it. But anyway, I got rid of it, and it's very alleviating now. Lesson learned, I've spent thousands. I sold records and stuff. I sold all these records, all these things that I bought, and gave the money to my buddy Steve because he helped me out. And I just thinking of how much time I traded in for this stuff that I purchased that I didn't even use 90% of it. And lesson learned coming back is I come back a little wiser, and I know that I'm not a superficial person. I grew up very poor with nothing. And so my reaction to everything, to food, is we didn't eat much sometimes for days as a kid. So I went to a point where I was gluttonized. I gained a lot of weight because I had no temperance, and I came to full fruition, like, man, none of this stuff matters. Nothing, obviously it's cliche, but none of this stuff we're taking to our grave. Nothing, there's only so many outfits you can wear. And like I said, I had a lot of nice clothes, and I spent the money on it and didn't even wear it because I'm like, oh, I was waiting for the right time to wear it, right job, and that never came, nor was it ever going to at that point. And so now I'm going to rebuild off of nothing, and that's good. That's exciting. And it's a scary process. I don't know where I'm at. Luckily, I have a good friend that has allowed me to establish myself here. And, I've just been putting in applications and stuff. That's just an update. It's not necessary to this video, but just letting you all know. But yeah, man, I come back with wisdom. 17 years of wisdom in the South. I come back with a lot of earned wisdom of my own stupidity. Met a lot of great people there. Met a lot of great people in this bus ride. I even, we are so involved with these phones and so involved in ourselves that we forget there's people out there that we have the ability to help. I learned that really hard on this ride, and staying present in the moment. The first time I took this Greyhound, it wasn't the first time, but this trip, it was about 13 years ago. I had gone from Johnson City to California, and didn't have, I want to say I had like a BlackBerry or something, just some old phone, then, and I didn't have like an iPhone, so it was never even like an option to go on it unless I had to text someone. And so it wasn't entertainment is my whole point. And we had an itinerary, it was printed out, so I didn't, I never had to charge my phone or anything. And so this time around, I had the nice phone, had the ability, had the data, had all that. But, I was very scarcely on it. I took some videos, just of some beautiful landscapes. But then I made sure not to overdo it because I want to be present and actually see it. If I'm on this grueling bus ride, I might as well enjoy the views of when they are there in the nature. And this is another journey in my life, but the whole point, I'll post the itinerary, or my route is, I said point A to point B, in between. The whole point is in between the journey in life. I happen to know in this case, and we don't, even if we set goals, it helps. But I knew that my end was this destination, and the starting point was Knoxville. But you know what? I could have gotten killed that night, getting robbed, or anywhere in between. Could have gotten lost, deterred, or whatever. I could have passed away. Just thank God I didn't. But we don't know that end location. We can do our best to prepare for it. And some people are better at that. I'm not so good at that. But we still don't know. We're never guaranteed a 100% outcome in our destination. So that journey, y'all, in between, all those people you meet, those situations. And it may not even be people. Like I said, I got off the bus for layovers, and I got to, in Colorado, I think it was Vail, Colorado. Oh, it was beautiful. I got to sit there for about 30 minutes, enjoy the sound and landscapes and just the wind. It was nice. And I think more and more collectively as a society, we are forgetting that. We are losing that with these phones. We're losing that with these stress indicators of the economy is doing bad. Oh, this, the right, the left, whatever. You know, Dolly Parton, bless her heart, passing away. That's it. We're getting off the moment of being present. And so the journey in life, and there's many of these journeys right here. There's a micro and macro journey, I would say, but we don't exactly know the destination, and we need to start, my brothers and sisters, appreciating the things in between. And it's not as simple as saying that. You have to be conscious. You have to actually discipline yourself. Put away your phone, put away your distractions, put away the people that you're used to just being able to text to and have fun, you know, and regulate that. Because if I was just someone that was on my phone, I had my ear, I just forgot, I actually accidentally donated them. But if I would have had those, I would have never talked to any of these people, would have never gained the wisdom they had, and would have never been able to be in the position to enlighten or help them either, y'all. The journey, you know, this was, I look back, come back with wisdom, you know, all the journeys I've been on. And there's been times where point A to point B, in between was oblivion due to my bad decisions of drinking, you know, and I missed out on all of that potential, that opportunity, or whatever it may be. Sitting in that in between A to B with bitterness, resentment, distraction, whatever it may be, heavy indulgence. But y'all, I'm just telling you, as a society, we got to learn to be present, y'all. Anyway, I'll have to do a more elaborate video on that trip and like the details. I should have wrote it out. It's not my style. But that's just kind of my lesson. I haven't done a long video in quite a few months, and here we go. Y'all, God bless you. Dolly Parton, rest in peace. Y'all have a good one.